What is up, survivors? For today's mod review, we're going to be going over Ladies Food and Farming mod. This is a cool agricultural mod that I think you'll enjoy. Let's get into it. So this essentially adds a lot of farming, crafting, food, building items that we're going to kind of breeze through for the most part, but we're going to start right around here. So you're going to need a couple of things to start off with, and those are going to be on your person. These engrams are automatically unlocked at level 1 standardly. Obviously, you can go through the ionize and change this if you want to, but you're going to need the kitchen supplies and the potting shed. These are the two things you're really going to play off of here. Could be kind of important. From there, you'll be able to craft a lot of this stuff, and this is what our kitchen supplies bench looks like, and this is what our potting shed looks like. I can't stress enough how awesome everything looks. The little touches, the little movements, the little subtle things that make you feel like something's actually going on around here. Really dig it. Artistically, it's beautiful. Checking out the kitchen supplies, this is predominantly where you're going to make a lot of the stuff that we're going to talk about here. You'll be able to make a fireplace cooker. We'll talk about how that works. There's different storages, different crafting stations, but we're going to go over all of this for the most part. Furniture, storage, yep, whole 9 yards. There's a whole lot going on in here. So again, you'll craft a lot of your main crafting stations and stuff from here. There are 3 different levels of cookers, it seems like. We have a small cooking pot here that you'll be able to make, a cooking stove here, and then this fireplace cooker over here. All 3 of them seem to do the same thing. They just seem to do it a little bit better, and obviously they look a little bit better as we step up. At the end of it, you'll be able to make, and this doesn't really matter, you'll be able to make this stuff out of any one of those cookers. There's special recipes included in here, which we'll go over how to get some of these items to make some of this stuff, but these also work like grills too, so they'll be able to cook meat, create charcoal, things like that for you. So it'll cook normal meat, or you'll be able to make some of the other recipes. It's up to you to choose. Right off the bat, I really like the fact that this is a grill on top of being like cooking all these other ingredients, because it would look a little odd if I had this and then a grill next to it. Now this does everything. Looks great. So let's kind of, man, I feel like we got a lot going on here. So let's start from this guy. We'll skip over these things and kind of work our way all the way around, if that makes sense. So this pantry is actually used as a preserving bin, essentially. It extends the spoil timer of certain things. Right now, a stack of meat on me right now. It looks like it's going to expire in about 8 minutes. Slide it over here. Now we got 60 days. Pretty long expiration time. Other awesome thing about this, no fuel source. You don't need to throw spark powder or anything like that in here. It just does it. It's awesome pantry. Love this thing. Stepping over, so this is basically your standard, essentially, refrigerator, which is another thing that I really like, by the way. I love being able to do mods like this and work with something like this that extends the spoil time that far out, and that way I'm never forced to just, you know, run electricity and make a fridge. Now I can keep the style and everything and still have all the benefits. On top of here is actually what looks to be a mortar and pestle, but it's actually a grinder. The grinder will allow you to mix some spark powder, gunpowder, cementing paste, propellant. It kind of works like a chem station, essentially, but also adds a couple of other ingredients as well. You'll be able to make your flour here, and you'll be able to make cocoa powder here. We'll talk about how you're going to get those ingredients a little bit later on. Moving down, again, these are the cookers. You guys know how we already kind of went through that already, but over here, the potting shed is where where all your farming stuff is going to happen from. There's a long list of different types of seeds that you'll be able to craft and plant. We'll show you how those get planted. They will all require base seeds. Base seeds means any type of seed that you pick up. It's not picky. Any type of seed you pick up can be converted into one of these seeds for any one of these plants, and it's a long list, as you can see, all the different plants you can add in here. Top it off, you can even actually plant your own trees. These don't even require crop plots. You can just, bam, put them on the ground. We'll show you what they look like here in a few. You'll have a lot of different options, the bee house, all this different, everything farming related is what you're going to craft out of here. The kitchen's more literally, it's pretty self-explanatory, but the kitchen's really what's happening in the kitchen and decor and stuff like that. The potting shed's really where a lot of your farming stuff's coming from. All right, so moving on over here, we have the double beer stand. You can craft this on the kitchen. This basically works just like a normal beer barrel, but as you can see, it works a lot faster. You throw normal berries in here along with thatch. It says the bingle berries, but I think that's something that's been going on for a while now. You can just throw any berries in thatch. And if you notice, it's only 1 berry and 1 thatch to make beer, and it makes it a lot faster. Now, you can use water jars and throw those in here. However, they've actually created their own mugs to do this with that only requires raw metal and wood, which I really appreciate. Water jars can be really expensive making a bunch of these things. So, yep. And again, it looks fantastic. I love the little aesthetics of the bubbles flying up. It's really cool. Coming over to the ice box, essentially does the same thing the pantry does, but it does it even better. So we're looking at about 6 minutes on this meat now. I slide it over here, and now we have 43 days, it looks like. Which, wait a minute, actually, Did I read the other one wrong? 43 days. You know what? I probably did. Let me go back over here. Let's open this guy up. So right now I'm at 6 minutes. 43 days. Okay. So it looks like it might be the same regardless. Place your food and store it in here. Yeah. Okay. So it's the same amount of time on each one, it seems like. What if we grab something else like seeds? Let's test this out. So our seeds got a 13, 14 minutes. About 14 minutes. Over here, got 96 days. Let's check our pantry. Maybe they do the same thing and they just kind of aesthetically look different depending on what you want. 96. Okay, I stand corrected. It looks like they actually do the same spoil timer. They just aesthetically look different, which the option's there, and I really appreciate that. This obviously looks better in your kitchen area, but having this fridge option's pretty cool too. Not sure what the difference is here. So looking back at the crafting menu, it appears that they both cost the same amount of resources to make, so I'm assuming it's really just an aesthetic thing that's completely up to you. So awesome. You can actually use both, one or the other. This is a 500 slot storage. This is also a 500 as well, so it doesn't seem to matter. All right, cool. All right, so awesome expiration times regardless of which one you use, and you just go with the one you think looks cool. I think they both look pretty cool, honestly. These structures are probably some of my little favorite ones. These are really awesome. These are made over here from your potting shed. Starting off, we have the bee house. And if we can kind of crawl in here. Whoop, jumped on top. But you can see the honey in there, the bees just hanging out, all the little bees are flying around. This basically kind of works like a beehive. You'll be able to plant sugar and you'll throw that sugar in here and you'll be able to craft honey. Pretty straightforward. But it looks great. I love the little house in here. It's great. This one might be really funny too. This is our chicken coop. You'll be able to throw seeds in here and it will turn the seeds, again, doesn't matter what seed, it'll turn the seeds into eggs. You'll be able to use the eggs for crafting foods later on. And as you can see, we got a lovely bunch of dodos in here. One's like sleeping and they're all like pecking around. I think it's really cool. This is what I really like seeing is these little animations going on. It makes you, again, really feel like something's going on and that it's kind of alive. Moving over here, the compost bin. Probably one of my favorite ones because it just looks hilarious. I love the Fiume. It looks like it just ate way too much and it's just done. It's just passed out. I've been there, buddy. I've been there. The dung beetles hanging out inside the storage, the compost bin. This essentially works just like the normal compost bin, but it's incredibly faster. And as you can see, it only one poop, one thatch. You throw it in here and it makes fertilizer for you. And again, does it a lot faster, and it's a 500 slot storage bin, making this really cool because how often do we get in the game and if we're going to farm, we got to go find dung beetles? Not with this thing. This compost bin will keep up with you just fine. Moving over down here, we have all this. A lot of this stuff is cosmetic with the exception of the cutting board, and we'll talk about that. But a lot of these are just cosmetic, decorative / storage things that you can use. So the barrels look like, I think they're all 350 storage with the exception of the little guy up here, which is a 15. Yep. So they're all just different styles. And as you can see, they're actually numbered to tell you that it is a different style, but they work as free storage bins and they're 350 slots, which is awesome because these things are super small. It's really easy to keep track of all your stuff and stow it all away. You got plenty of room in here. Tie this up with like a stacking mod and you pretty much just need a couple barrels to store all your stuff in. Over here on the table is a bunch of different glass bottles. These are just stylized different and they're all 15 slots, which I think is really cool to have something like simple decorative like this, but then also serves a purpose. You can put some skins in it, maybe some artifacts, something like that to kind of keep a hold of. And obviously there's a huge different types of models and shapes and sizes. This might be a textures thing. This rum bottle, the picture of it looks a lot different and it's loaded like this. I'm assuming there's a texture issue going on. I'm not 100% sure. It's hard for me to tell with some mod because sometimes it actually just might be me and the fact that I have 900 different mods loaded sometimes. So take that one with a grain of salt. It might work just fine for you. You also have the medic bottle here and the salve bottle here. Again, they all work the same way. They're all little storage things. We have the goblet and the flagon. Cosmetically, there's a difference. Utility-wise, there's not. So they look awesome, and I like the different options to throw stuff around. There's also a lot of different decor items in here. Something that I did want to talk about that I think is probably being addressed. I've seen the change notes in the Steam Workshop page. In the decor option, there's a lot of different items that I don't have placed out. The reason why I don't is because when I crafted them and then went to try to place them, it consumed them as if it was an item that I just consumed. So it seems to be an ongoing issue, and it's not just me having it. I can only assume that this is probably going to be addressed quickly. Even it may already be addressed by the time this video comes out too. So I would double check the change note just to make sure, but On a whole, I would say that judging by how awesome the rest of this is, I can only assume that this is going to be addressed really quickly. Over here we have the cutting board. Cutting board is actually kind of a useful tool. I didn't realize it quite as much as first, but you're going to use this to prepare certain meats to grill and things like that. In your consumables, you'll be able to make dough. Again, we'll talk about how you get all these little ingredients. Aloe leaves, aloe cuttings, I'm sorry. That'll actually give you a little bit of health and sate your hunger a little bit. And then a lot of different meats. And this is how you'll get these meats to throw on the grill to in turn make some of this other cool stuff. So for instance, if I wanted to make bacon, I could just throw raw meat in here, craft one of these bacons, take everything back, go over to my cooker over here, and throw the bacon on here, and it's crafting cooked bacon for me. All these different consumables seem to actually react a little bit differently. Some of them give you a little bit more health. Some might give you a little bit more food. I like the fact that they're tweaked just a little bit to make them a little bit different. So not only do they look different, but they do function a little bit different too. I think the flask here is just another kind of decorative storage as well. We have an actual storage bin. I have it up on the tables, but probably looks better on the floor. 350 slot storage, plenty of storage for all your stuff. Very much like the barrels is storage. We have a wall storage as well. This looks like silver, like plates are hanging up here. It looks really great. This is a 15 slot storage. Again, probably more of a decor, but looks great anyway. Going over here, more and more storage. Pretty much the rest of what we're going to go down this way is all storage. These are all burlap bags, and there's a lot of different models, 1, 2, and all the way down to 9. And these are all shaped to be in different poses and different sizes. And I really like that because it creates the more realistic, immersive look to it. Having them all in different poses, I guess, is probably the right word. But it looks great. I like them. And they're all 300. And again, just like the barrels, they're all... Whoa, hit a little bit of lag there, sorry. But just like the barrel, they're all 350 slot storages, so you have plenty of room here. Moving over, we have the different crate options as well. You have 3 different crate options. Again, all 350 slot storage. These look awesome as well. Pretty much put anything you want in here. This would look really good for like a pier design too, I think too, if you were doing like island sort of thing, or like a pier or on a ship or on a boat or on a raft or something. This would look really cool for that too. Plenty of different storage options out here, and I love that. Never had too much of that in this game. So that is more or less most of your kitchen stuff, with the exception of these guys in the middle here. These are more for your farming from your potting shed over here. But moving down, the rest of this is in fact farming. We're going to kind of work our way from here all the way over, talk about how that stuff works. You have 5 different tree options that you can plant. You can't plant a Harvs Corner tree. You can't. But you can download a Harvs Corner mod. Link will be in the description. So we have a few different types of trees here. We have the olive tree. I think this is the lime tree, the elderberry tree, coconut tree, and the cocoa tree. And what these will do, you'll make them in the potting shed. You'll place them like a normal structure. You don't need to fertilize them or water them or anything. You'll place them, and over time, they will generate the resource for you. And a couple things that I really like about these trees. One, the spoil timer is exponentially increased on the tree, which makes it so you really don't have to rush and grab all that stuff off in the right time. You have plenty of time to come back and grab it later, which I like it. It's an awesome mod that adds a whole lot of different things to this, but it also, I think this is also coming from the perspective of a player, of these little tweaks that just seem to make a lot of sense and be really helpful. The other reason I like these trees is because even if you don't necessarily want to use the trees, they make for a great decoration depending on where you're at, because you can just plant these on the ground and you don't really have to maintain them very much. So if you're just looking for a simple decor mod with a couple of greens and trees and around you, maybe some coconut trees out here on the beach, easy enough. Over here is some of one of my favorite things, but a few of my favorite things are over here too. We have a milking station with the cow out here. You place this whole structure down, and I love that all the animals are actually like doing things and are animated. The cow's out here doing his thing, although it looks like you might be chewing on rocks, which seems incredibly unhealthy, but you know, I'm not going to tell you how to live your life. This will slowly generate milk for you. Milk will be used in some of the recipes that we saw earlier. And again, spoil timer is pretty high on these guys. You can just come by and grab it when you need to. This water trough is actually a 2-part system. You place the trough, jerboa included, and the tap snaps to it. Looks like a regular metal intake kind of, but when you go to place it, it'll snap right here. What this does is irrigate all your crops nearby. And what you can, as you can see, my crops are all the way out here and they're all growing. So the irrigation is pretty far out on these guys. I love this thing. It looks cool. I don't have to run a bunch of pipe. It just works. And again, the little jerboa, you know, perked up there, having a little drink hanging out. This might be one of my favorite things in this mod, this Scarecrow. And this vulture seems to be eyeballing me. Or judging me, I can't tell. I'm not sure. The Scarecrow, you know, if I get close to it, you can see the show radius. I can hit it and we get this green dome. What this is doing is applying a greenhouse effect to everything in this dome. So what that means is I don't need greenhouse glass, which I love because this mod is definitely a bit more feudal / primitive sort of feel. And I hate when I get a really cool looking mod like this and I have to incorporate things that don't seem to fit. The greenhouse currently in Ark has that metal brim around it. It just doesn't seem, the era doesn't seem right. It doesn't match up. But something like this works perfectly and it looks awesome. This is all of the different crops that you can plant. And as you can see, there's quite a lot of them. These plots are medium crop plots, and they are about the size of a medium crop plot. They do not require to be placed on a foundation. Obviously, you can just plant them on the flat ground. You can put them on a foundation if you want to, but you definitely don't have to. As you can see, they don't snap together, but if I get over here, maybe if I get rid of my HUD, it might be easier to see. Where it kind of dips down here, they overlap really well together. So you can kind of overlap them a little bit. And I think it might have been intended that way because as you can see, there's a little bit of a gap between the crops themselves. So you could overlap it and the plants wouldn't be like growing through each other. You'd actually still have a pretty good uniform look. These work just like normal crop plots. They need to be irrigated. They need to have water and they will just naturally produce this stuff for you with fertilizer over time, depending on what you plant. I have a whole lot of stuff going on around here. The other thing that I like, and this kind of plays into the same idea with the trees, is even if you're not necessarily wanting to grow some of this stuff, I could see some of the flowering plants, some of them that actually have blossoms and flowers being used for certain decoration, depending. You could always hide them in certain places and do like a big flower garden or something like that. It'd be kind of neat to see. I'm sure you could play around with that, but yes, there are a lot of different crop plots to play around with here. And they all look pretty great. I like how they all look unique. None of them look even remotely close to each other. And the crop plots function really, really well. Man, that's a lot going on. I like this one. This might be one of my favorite farming and like this agricultural kitchen sort of mod that I've played around with. And I've played around with quite a few. Oddly enough, there's a lot out here. There's a lot of these mods out for this game, I think. But this is definitely my top 2. That is it, guys. That is Ladies of Food and Farming. We will have a link to the Steam Workshop page in the description of the video, so you guys can check that out at your leisure. And as always, thank you for watching. Thanks for hanging out. See you on the next one.